Hi everyone. Before we start with today's episode, we've had a bit of an issue. We've had a glitch with our sound, and it was bizarrely only on the first half of my voice because we think we've either got a problem with the microphone or something, but it's a strange one. We've fixed it to a degree, but it's not as pure as we would like the sound to be. You'll notice it. But bear with us, be patient. We've done the best that we can, and hopefully you enjoy the episode.
Hello and welcome to the Rest is Football with Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. Micah has been to the Reading Festival today and is in a car on his way home, and we're hoping that at some point he will join us. We'll wait and see. It's definitely the Reading Festival and not the Notting Hill Carnival, I believe. Alan, you also, I've been a little bit busy today because there's a trophy perched over your right shoulder.
Before anyone jumps on the bandwagon, I know something I'm not used to, winning a trophy.
Just shows you it's like red buses, though. One comes along and then...
Yeah, we have my good friends of mine have a tennis tournament every year at the back of their house. There's 7 or 8 tennis courts, and there's about 40 pairs come in, and there's a draw this morning and jollifications all afternoon and whatever. And then, I ended up with my partner was Steve Harper. I said to Harps, come on, if we get knocked out within the first 2 or 3 rounds, we can just have a little party and it's fine. We can just go drinking because we don't really want to go that far, but we got second round, and honestly, I can feel my feet, my hamstrings, my back screaming at me. I'm thinking, oh no. The quarterfinal, we managed to scrape through. We get to the final, and then it was great. Harps's wife was in the other pair with another guy who was playing against us in the final. So yeah, I just said, and he kept on apologising to her. I said, fuck apologising to her. We need to win this, man. Apologise later on. It's fine. But we ended up winning it, and the trophy's there. And the speech was, I really don't know what to do because I've never won a trophy in Newcastle. I always
thought, Alan, for years and years and years that you were, and now it's confirmed that you are Andre Agassi in disguise.
God, I love it, yeah.
I had a fun day. I actually went to the game. I went to Fulham, Manchester United. I went to Craven Cottage. It's not far. So I went with my mate JD. He said, let's go on the line bike. I'm like, oh, you're joking. So he set me up and showed me how to do it because I'm a bit old and a bit scared of those things. So I went on a line bike. Easy, 10 minutes we were there. I went early because they were very generous to us, Fulham. Invited us to lunch. We had a Michelin star chef.
The new stand.
Food in the new stand, which is amazing, right on the river there. So we had lunch overlooking the river. Beautiful setup. And the game was, so-so. And then to get to do the podcast, I walk over the bridge, over Putney Bridge with all the fans, jumped on a line bike, came home. Amazing. I know from most of our listeners, you're thinking, well, anyway, line bikes, we all get them. But anyway, it was a new experience, first time I've ever. In fact, I think it's decades and decades since I sat on any kind of a bike.
It's probably the first time you've had a ride in 15 years, isn't it?
Sadly, that's probably true. But anyway, the game, United started really well. I thought, oh, hello, because last week I thought they showed something against Arsenal, even though they lost. And the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, you thought, okay. Cunha was electric, went really close, brilliant effort, hit the post. Another one blazed over the bar. They had a one-on-one where the keeper, they probably should have scored, but a good save from Leno. And you thought, well, there's something in this. They got a penalty, which, my goodness, what a bizarre experience. Going to the game, we're watching the game. There's a corner, and something like that. And then the ball's cleared. The ball goes up the end of the pitch, and then Fulham on the attack. And then suddenly, the ref stops, and you're thinking, what's going on here? Now, I know the experience is probably different at home, but if you're in the ground, then you see a sign saying VAR penalty check. And I honestly sitting there, and I said to him, I went, for which two? Didn't even know whether it was that end or that end. And you had no idea what was going on. I mean, it's such an awful experience for fans. I mean, I know now they're telling you why they changed their decision, which he ultimately did. I couldn't see from how far we were away, so I had no idea whether it should have been overturned. But Bruno missed it anyway, blazed it over the bar. But they've got to actually tell you what's going on for the fans in the ground to hear it. There's a penalty check because so-and-so, we think he might have pushed so-and-so, but we're checking all the angles. The referee, you can hear the conversation between the referee and the VAR.
After seeing it again, do you think it was a penalty?
I haven't seen it again.
All right, okay.
Have you?
I mean, the penalty was awful, wasn't it? Doesn't matter about that, but I think it was a penalty, probably, yeah.
Did they put on Boom on penalties now? Because he's so good at penalties, isn't he? He was like, that's it, and then didn't miss.
No, you're allowed. I think you're allowed to miss one, aren't you? And then if you miss two on the spin, then I guess you've got to hand it over. But you're allowed to miss one.
I mean, it's another, the first point of the season for United, which lifted them out of the bottom three. That was a bit cool. And but they didn't really kick on offer much in the second half. His changes didn't really work. Sesko came on, was very quiet, and there was no service, to be honest. And, well, they got ahead. There's a bit of a push on that one, though. A lot of the Fulham fans were complaining about. It's hard to see.
I've only seen it on TV, and I'm thinking, if you're going to give the Man United one for a penalty, it was clearly a shove. There's no doubt about it for that one. It's like, come on, really? But anyway, it is what it is. But I didn't see the whole game. I've just seen the highlights. But they're one of the teams that have to start winning pretty soon. Otherwise, the pressure will mount hugely. There's no doubt about it. I mean, what have they got? Burnley next week, haven't they? So Burnley at home.
Old Trafford, I think.
That's one of those games where you probably want it, but it's another one. If you don't win it, then it really does mount the pressure. So they've got to win that one at home. There's no doubt.
I thought Fulham did well. Obviously, funny, I was texting Richard Osman, who's does the rest is entertainment for us, before the game, saying, "Are you there?" Because he's a big, massive. Well, obviously massive, but anyway, he's also a massive fan.
Yeah.
And he replied, said, "No, he's working on his film." He said, we've spent about a few $100,000 in the window. We bought the reserve goalkeeper, and that's it. So it's a bit alarming. But I don't know whether it's our friend the PSR or for whatever reason, I don't know. But I thought they did okay. They came back, they rallied at the end, and they actually looked probably the more likely to score in the last 10 minutes of the game after the equaliser. But all in all, I think it was probably about a fair result, I would say. The other two games today, we were in early enough to have the lunch and watched Everton versus Brighton on the TV. What a great start for them in their new stadium.
Brighton missed a couple of really big chances, but I thought that was one of the naps of the weekend. Everton winning there in their first game there. Great atmosphere, expectations, everything, and really pleased for Jack Grealish. Couple of assists, wasn't he? So I thought that was the nap of the weekend. Everton beating Brighton at home.
Yeah, I thought that was very likely as well. Good win. Great start, as you said there, for Jack Grealish to do that. The brilliant bit of play for the first one.
Yeah, brilliant.
Drilled it across to Undy at the far post. But the name in the ground amuses me a bit. The Hill Dickinson Stadium. Firm of lawyers or something.
Needs must.
I thought they'd paid two signings. I thought they'd bought Jimmy Hill and someone Dickinson. But it was a good performance from them. There was also, did you see the handball? I mean, not against Dewsbury Hall.
No, I didn't see it. Tell me.
Well, he's drilled it at him. He's gone down as though, to slightly protect it because he's hit it hard. And he's put his arm up, but it's very close to his body, and his arm is up in front of his face, and the ball hits his hand. And he's not gone out wide. It's tucked in, and it just suits. I mean, he missed it anyway. Well, he didn't miss it. Pickford saved it. It wasn't a good penalty, so it didn't make any difference. But it was a soft one. The ref did give it on field, so that made a difference. But so they didn't.
I saw Jordan Pickford made a brilliant save. I mean, a terrible back pass from Tarkowski. That was a key save, wasn't it?
Yeah, what a good goalkeeper. He's so consistent. I know there's always used to be doubts in him because he's a little bit hot-headed at times, but, there's a calmness, there's an authority, there's a confidence about him these days, I feel. And he's got, I hate to say things like this when you're talking about someone, especially the England goalkeeper, that he does not make many mistakes. I mean, all goalkeepers do make mistakes, and he will, and he has, but very, very few are.
Yeah, and also when you look at his competition, I mean, James Trafford getting the move to Man City and having a terrible day yesterday.
Felt for him a bit because he got, Donnarumma likely to come in as well.
On another subject, that for him, it's a huge call, him choosing Manchester City. We don't know why, or in terms of talks and who he had options. And I know he had options at Newcastle, but for whatever reason, he chose to go back to Man City. But can you imagine if Donnarumma signs for Man City? And because he's not going to play ahead of him.
Yeah, it's a tough game, particularly if you're a goalkeeper. And the other game today was interesting, obviously, because it was the two teams that swapped places in European competitions, Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. And honours even there. Palace got ahead. Ismail Sarr scored some goals, doesn't he? I mean, he's a real athlete, and Munoz was there murdering down that right wing.
With what's gone on over the past few days with Nuno and what's happened at Forest, then I don't think that's a bad result for them. I mean, it was tin helmet time in terms of who's going to come out on top on that battle, because clearly Espirito Santo came out at the weekend, or just before the weekend, and said that things aren't well. And there's obviously an issue with Edu in terms of the sporting director and the relationship between those two. But
the first bad run they have, Alan, I'd pay for Nuno, and
well, that's a battle he's never going to win, unfortunately.
I wonder whether he wants to. He's
probably decided to think, I'm going to get out in the open and see if I can win it that way. But that's what it looks like. But yeah, it doesn't end well for the coach or for the manager when that happens.
No, it's not going to end up with a trophy like you've got over your right hand shoulders.
I'm making the most of it.
It does actually look like the Carabao Cup. You sure it's not now? You just lifted it for the day. You borrowed it. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about Saturday's fixtures. You and Michael are on match today. Hopefully, Michael will find a signal in the back of his car at some point. If not, it'll just be you and me.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Need a website that can actually run your business? With Squarespace, you can sell products, book appointments, and get paid all in one place. It's built to help you grow, and with payment options like Apple Pay, PayPal, Klarna, and more, checkout's a breeze for your customers. Head to squarespace.com/football for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the code FOOTBALL to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Welcome back to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer and me, Gary Lineker. Still no news from Micah Richards, hopefully on the M4 somewhere, and he'll get a signal at some point.
He's on the champagne or the whiskey or something somewhere. You might not even know where he is.
I always thought this was a possibility. Micah at a festival. What could go wrong? Anyway, you were doing Match Today yesterday. Kelly, I thought, great debut. She did really well.
She was fantastic.
Great. Yeah. She was great. Show was as good as always.
Yeah.
Man City, wow. Let's start with the positive and Tottenham Hotspur and Thomas Frank. What a start he's had. I know not necessarily off the field because, they had the Morgan Gibbs White deal go wrong. And then obviously Eberechi Eze ended up signing for Arsenal, which was grim news. And you thought to yourself, now they've got a tough game away. But I thought they were so impressive.
Do you know what it is? They were absolutely outstanding with Spurs. Their energy, their aggression. The two centre-halves, Romero and Van de Ven, were brilliant. Richarlison was fantastic. Kudos was great again. Jed Spence, Porro, everyone. But
Spence is hard to get past, isn't he?
Yeah, very, very difficult. Very difficult. He's having a great time and really enjoying his football. I thought the midfield three of Sarr, Bentancur, and Palhinha were absolutely outstanding. The way they got wired in, the way they protected, the way they played, creativity. Palhinha got his goal. After what we'd said about City and their midfield and Reinders the week before, how good he was and a debut for City in the league, and then for him to be bossed by those three yesterday at home. Spurs were impressive, man. They really were. Thomas Frank, what a great start he's had, hasn't he?
Amazing start. And particularly when you take into account the couple of disappointments they've had off the pitch, didn't let him affect him. He just said, if a player doesn't want to come here, they don't want to come here. No problem. I don't want players that don't want to come here.
It's already after 3 games, if you include the cup game before the season started. It's got Thomas Frank's DNA all over the team, all over the club already. Sometimes it takes time, but
what is that DNA?
The DNA is working hard. The DNA is being direct if they have to be. The DNA is playing. The DNA is long throws. The DNA is having the right attitude, and everyone is on the same page and getting wired in. That's the DNA of Thomas Frank, and that's why he's been a really, really astute, clever manager over the years, and that's why he's got this job, and that's why if they go ahead and keep backing him,
Well, I
like his words. Even his words afterwards, he said, fine, if players don't want to join us, that's all right. We don't want them. We'll move on and we'll get someone else. I mean, it sounds as if they're going back in for Savinho City. But he's had a brilliant start, and I really, really like everything about Thomas Frank and his whole ethos of who and what he is.
They made it so difficult for City to beat the press as well, didn't they? The times that the goal, obviously the Trafford error was a perfect example of that. But there were other times as well where it wasn't just the front three, but then you got the midfield three that you talked about, and even Romero would go really high up in and win there. It was so good and so encouraging for Tottenham fans. But as lifelong Spurs followers, I think it's the hope that kills you.
Did you see the stat about those two centre halves when those two are the numbers when those two play together
which doesn't surprise
win over
me.
half the games? Yeah, it's like
I mean, Romero is so good. I mean, I know occasionally he's a bit hot-headed and he might get himself sent off, but Van der Ven has had his injury problems. But when they're both fit, like they clearly were yesterday, I mean, Van der Ven, how quick is he? Even Haaland was struggling to get behind them at all. And City didn't really offer much, did they?
Even if you take the Haaland had a header, a couple of other, but you're going to the Etihad, you're going to Man City, you're not going to dominate for 90 minutes. There are going to be a time where you have to suffer. But even that, the way they suffered, and they all dug deep and they all were last-ditch tackles and everything else. And that was impressive, the way they dug in for each other. Yeah. So, I was really, really, I don't think you could be anything other than impressed with Spurs yesterday.
I was quite surprised with City's starting lineup. It seemed a bit, quite inexperienced. I think it was their youngest side for about 10 years or 12 years or something, which was, and it was a bit, when you looked at the bench as well, obviously, Rodri's been injured, but it was good to see him come on because we were all worried that it was something serious again because there was no information coming out. So clearly it wasn't too bad, which is really good news for City and him and football. Foden on the bench as well. Not really, so I don't know. After last week as well, you thought City maybe on the, but actually felt like a big step backwards.
I agree. I think after all the positivity with them last week and the way they sort of dismantled Wolves, you're thinking, okay, are they back? They had energy and all of that. But yeah, I agree with you. It was a big step backwards, that, and the way they were outfought yesterday would be a bigger concern for me.
I thought the same, but terrific start for Spurs. Also, it's been a good week for Arsenal. Obviously, they won at United in the opening game of the season. They got the Eze transfer over the line. They obviously smashed Leeds, won very comfortably, put in 5 by them. And also their striker, their 9 that we've talked about for so long, delivered. I saw you talking on Match of the Day, and we know what it's like. I mean, not necessarily even if you go to a new club, but even if it's the start of a season, but particularly when you go to a new club. I had mixed experience. My first move to Everton, I didn't score, I think, in the first 3 games. And I was starting to feel the heat, I remember the, what's it called? The Liverpool Echo, the newspaper. All the letters were, why have we wasted all our money on this clown and all this kind of stuff? And then I got a goal away at Tottenham, a diving header when we won 1-0. And it just feels like the weight's off the world off your shoulders. Same at Spurs. I came back from Barcelona. It took me a while to adjust to the pace of the game again. It took about 5 games to score. And then you do, and the world's a better place. But for someone like Gyökeres with so much expectation, it was crucial for him. And he sort of snatched at one, didn't he, in the first half, when you were quite right. He should have controlled it because he had the time and he could have knocked it in. But the first goal will give him so much confidence because it was actually quite a special effort.
Do you know what was even more impressive for me was him grabbing hold of the ball and going
Love
for the penalty.
that, though.
Me
Strikers, you've got to. What a chance. Well, you are a striker. That is your best possible opportunity to score.
I'm not sure that he would have had if
Saka
had been on, then he might not have been on it. But I just thought, great, go and take the penalty. You've already got one. You must. And you're right. We know what it's like to get off to a decent. I mean, last weekend he would have been thinking, "Oh God, it wasn't what I wanted, and it didn't go the way it should have, and that I planned, and what have you at Old Trafford." But then you're at home, and you've scored one really good goal. And then the belief and the confidence, give me the penalty. And then, I mean, he would have been on top of the world last night. And I bet he cannot wait for the next game.
That's exactly how it is.
I mean, I think my analysis sort of also, it is going to take time because Saka's brilliant at it going past players. So you don't want to stop that. Madueke is, Eze is. You don't want to stop what they're good at.
No, but they're also good at crossing the ball.
You've got
Saka is good at crossing the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Putting balls into his feet.
Yeah.
Putting balls first time, like his goal. Because it was 90 seconds after half time, and I'm absolutely certain Arteta said something to them about playing the first time ball over rather than taking
behind.
a touch. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that. And also, you've got intelligent footballers like Saka and probably Eze, probably play on the left-hand side. They're going to know that what he wants, and they can deliver that. And there's a sense perhaps of last season, because they didn't have that necessarily in the middle. That's probably why they didn't cross, but they'll work that out. I suppose on the downside, two of their key players, like they went off with injuries. Ødegaard was a shoulder. I can't imagine that's hopefully too bad, but the Saka one looked like it might be a little tweak of the hamstring.
Yeah, but then I was thinking, goodness me, look at the players that they brought Trossard on. I forgot about him.
Well,
then you've got Eze to come in, Martinelli.
Yeah,
I mean the numbers they've got are really incredible now. The squad that Arsenal have got, so they have to go on and they have to win something pretty big this season. But they've made a good start. It wasn't a great performance at United, but they got the right result. Yeah. Much better yesterday. So that will give them good belief going forward as well.
And they're still bloody dangerous from set pieces. Oh. The balls, the quality of the balls
Declan Rice's ball in is incredible.
It's so like, accurate.
I don't know, 8 or 9 times out of 10, the ball is on the money. The ball is exactly where he wants to put it. It really is. And that is a great skill to have.
It really is. Let's move on to the fixture at the bottom of the table. Burnley against Sunderland. I shouldn't say that. That's not fair because Sunderland have got 3 points. I'm just assuming they might be at the bottom of the table. End of the season. Sunderland fans, Burnley fans, forgive me. I should not have done that.
Please, that was you saying that about Sunderland and not me, because the Morecambes will be coming for me again.
But there is a reason. There is a reason, because I was going to start this off. I've got a little quiz question for you, Alan. When was the last time all 3 promoted teams won a game in their opening 2 fixtures, which has happened over the last week and a bit?
2016.
Bloody good guess. 16-17 season, yes.
I must have asked the same question yesterday to the stats guys.
Did you?
I did,
That's so good.
I did, yeah. And it's no surprise that all 3 of them have won at home, Sunderland, Leeds and Burnley, that's going to be key, isn't it? I think particularly at Sunderland and Ellen Road, because of how crazy those fans are. I'm not saying Burnley aren't, but that will be key to them, how they get on at home in their games. Leeds are not going to be judged away to Arsenal.
No, exactly.
They have to pick up points at home and the odd draw here and there away from home against teams that are going to be in and around them. And that's how one of those teams, I think, can survive.
Burnley, I think the fact that they are hard, I know that in the first game they conceded a few, but that was against Tottenham and they were flying. But, they had that season, didn't they, with conceding so few goals. And I think gives you a chance. If you can, I know it's different in the Premier League and players get chances, they do finish it, which in the Championship, they're less likely to do so or less frequently. But if they can keep that, and they look actually Sunderland started well, didn't they? Could have had a goal early on.
Missed a sitter in the first 2 or 3 minutes, didn't they, Sunderland? Yeah. It might be different if that goes in. But that was like, you get your chances, you have your moments. And if you don't take them, you're going to get punished. Yeah, I mean, Burnley weren't beaten at home at all last season. So that tells you that anyone who's not at it, anyone that's in and around mid-table and below, going to Burnley, going to Sunderland, going to Leeds, will find it tough. They'll have to earn if they're going to get something.
Yeah, that's what I think Scott Parker said something along the line, we've got to make this a hard place to, and he's absolutely right. Difficult place to score, because, all these sides are going to struggle to score goals, and we'll see how they go. And I think probably encouraging to the 3 promoted clubs is also the fact that Wolves and West Ham in particular looked really off it, I suppose. I thought actually Wolves did a bit better in this game, but they still struggled, and West Ham were awful.
And Aston Villa as well. Aston Villa.
Yeah, but Villa, are going to climb up the table.
Yeah,
I mean, certainly not. They're not going to be involved anywhere near a relegation fight. They just had a slow start. But I'd look at West Ham. I watched the Chelsea game. I know Chelsea played well, but West Ham defensively, and they looked really kind of wooden and a bit slow and cumbersome, and I don't know. I fear for them.
They folded like a pack of cards, just like they did it at Sunderland the week before. Once they sort of conceded, it was like they had the goal disallowed, didn't they, West Ham? But then after that, it was like Chelsea got 2, and then it was like, how many are Chelsea going to score here? It would be a huge concern, and he knows he's under pressure. And I said on Match of the Day last night about, I don't know the ins and outs of that football club, but it does look, I mean, they had an incredible manager there in David Moyes and chose not to keep him. But it looks a difficult club to manage and coach. It really does. And with the lack of activity, I know they've got the goalkeeper, left-sided defender, Diouf. But yeah, it would be really, really concerned for West Ham already with just in the manner they've conceded and the way they've looked, how poor they've looked.
Chelsea, good night for them, but obviously Cole Palmer was injured, which I think killed the aspirations of most fantasy football fans.
Maybe that's why Mike is not here. He's in.
I think he's in mourning. Yeah, it seems like just a little tweak of the groin, so hopefully nothing too serious. But despite that, they still played really well. Great start. João Pedro, a goal, 2 assists. Got him in my team. We've got him in the Triff team.
Me too.
See, I'm starting to take an interest in fantasy football. It's kind of it's a bit contagious, isn't it? I mean, you captained him, didn't you?
Yeah, my son Will, who's in charge of it, he was the one that said to me, "Shall we captain him, Dad? He's going to West Ham. They've conceded a few goals, so we did. So I think he got himself 30 points."
Yeah, brilliant. Esteban looks like might
talent,
be a bit special. He actually was. I think he kept the ball away for the first goal. Paquetá's fantastic effort, but it really looks like he's got something special. That kid.
Yeah, he's
looking forward to watching him.
Looks really good, doesn't he?
Just before we finish, a lovely story that I want to finish on. From Morecambe, actually. In May this year, after 18 consecutive years in the Football League, they were relegated from League Two, and it became a grim low point in their 105-year history. On-field struggles mirrored off-field chaos. The club suffered financial penalties. They got 3-point deduction, unpaid wages, administrative instability. And then there was a much-anticipated takeover by Punjab Warriors, a London-based Sikh-led consortium that was provisionally approved by the FL in June 2025. They'd already committed 3.8 million quid, cleared 630 grand in debts, and provided 1.7 million in working capital. However, the sale faltered as Bond Group Investments under owner Jason Whittingham resisted relinquishing control, triggering legal threats, became a bit of a mess, wage defaults and mounting pressure from board directors. National League suspended Morecambe from competition, including the League Cup, in late July due to a failure to meet financial requirements, and postponed their first 3 fixtures. A suspension review was scheduled for the 20th of August. In a dramatic turn, the takeover by Punjab Warriors was finalised. The National League lifted the suspension, allowing Morecambe to restart their season. New manager Ashveer Singh Johal, just 30 years old, was appointed, becoming the first Sikh manager of a professional English club and the youngest manager in England's top 5 divisions. Remarkably, Morecambe played their first match against Altrincham and sealed a dramatic 2-1 winner with a stoppage time goal, a symbolic rebirth for the club and its supporters. That's what
after all the shit
about.
They've had to go through. And I listened to one of their owners actually on TV. He was on Sky Sports News when they'd taken over, and he just said, "All I will say to everyone is, please trust us."
Yeah.
And what a start that is. So to get the goal that late, And if anyone deserved a little bit of luck and because of all the stuff that they've been through, then it's them. So well done.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this episode of The Rest is Football. Don't forget, we'll be La Liga. The Rest is Football La Liga. We'll be with you on Tuesday. We'll look at Barcelona's amazing comeback and, Real Madrid's game. We're recording this Sunday evening. They've not kicked off yet, so we'll see how that one goes and lots of other Spanish fixtures. But until then, goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me and have a good weekend. Wherever you are, Micah, we hope you're all right.
And parade that trophy, a lap of honour, Al. Come on.
There it is.